Let's build a tiny tellurium. I used my recently acquired second-hand mini lathe to drill a 6mm hole in a 7mm rod, 3mm deep, followed by a slightly deeper 3mm hole. I removed it from the lathe to bring it over to my 3-in-1 printer with the laser option and rotary module and engraved some decorations. This engraving is done using an infrared laser, which reacts well with the brass surface, and the entire process takes roughly 5 minutes from start to finish. Next, I switched the printer to the CNC option to create a 2x3 rectangular hole. Back in the lathe, I cut the ring at 4.5mm height from the top. I used a tiny ball end mill with a radius of 0.1mm to create a small groove across the rectangular hole in the ring. This groove will hold the Earth-Moon axle. Now that the ring is finished and all the cuts and details are in place, it's time to move on to the next important part, the axle that will carry both the Earth and the Moon. The axle is made out of 0.35mm steel spring wire. The Moon rotates 12.4 times per year around the Earth, so I made a central hub with a radius that is 12.4 times the wire diameter, or 4.34mm. The top and bottom of the hub are a hair less than 6mm in diameter, so the ring can rotate freely around it. Next, I drilled a 0.7mm hole to hold the sun, which is made out of a 2.5mm earring. At the other end of the hub, I made a 2mm rod that will be used to mount the tellurium on a small pedestal. I used a saw to remove it from the stock, then turned it around and created an M2 thread on the rod. The base of the earring is trimmed to a short length and inserted into the hole at the top of the hub. A small drop of superglue secures it firmly in place. The hub is now done, and I removed all grease using some acetone. Now it is time to make the pedestal. It has 3 different diameters, 7mm, 4mm, and 3mm. The central hub has an M2 screw on the bottom, so I needed the pedestal to match. I carefully drilled a 1.6mm hole straight down the center, then used an M2 tap to thread it by hand. Once the thread was cut cleanly, I parted the pedestal from the stock. To mount the whole tellurium, I'm using an old trick I've seen before, just gluing the pedestal onto the end of a pencil. It's simple, it works, and it gives the whole thing a bit of a whimsical look. Facing off the end of a pencil and a dab of superglue is all it takes to hold it in place. Now I'm making the piece that holds the Earth and Moon. I drilled a hole for the axle, added 2 small indents, one for Earth, one for the Moon, and shaped it by hand using a file. I carefully cut the Earth-Moon piece free from the stock. Then I glued the axle in place, followed by the Earth, and finally the Moon. I used a 1.5mm steel ball for the Earth and a 1mm ball for the Moon. Before assembling everything, I added a 5mm rubber ring around the hub and threaded a piece of rope through it. That way, I can pull it through the hole in the brass outer ring, twist it, and insert the axle. The axle rests in the groove, held firmly by the tension of the rubber ring. Now it's time to see the tellurium in action. As the ring turns, the Earth and Moon circle the Sun just as planned. I did have to switch to a thicker axle to keep things running reliably, which means the Moon now rotates about half as fast as it should. It's not perfect, but it works, and I'm fine with that.